kids are exposed to all kinds of horrible stuff nowadays too. I look back and I think about the horrible stuff that they hear when they listen to rap music, the video games that they watch from a really early age with all of this horrible violence and stuff. And I just think that, and they have this access to the internet on a regular basis, which is, is just not good for kids, I don't think. And so I don't know what's going on, but I think we need to stop at this particular point. Nobody needs to be pointing fingers too much right now, but we need to look at why did this happen? How could this happen? And what's wrong with our society? What's wrong with the culture in this country?
Like, they can't stop themselves from admitting the guilt that they feel, right? Nobody needs to be pointing fingers right now. Please don't point fingers at me, please, please. Even though I totally empower and enable a system that allows for these massacres to happen, but please don't point fingers at me. And what was that statement? It's these damn kids and their rock and roll. It's the culture. No, well, first of all, okay, you know what? Let's do this. I think that's BS, but let's take what he has to say at face value. Let's give it to him. Okay, it's the culture. What are you gonna do? You're gonna ban the internet? You're gonna ban rap music? You're gonna ban video games? You want censorship? Government can't do that. Government can't violate those freedoms of expression. So basically what he's saying is a bunch of nothing. There are no solutions offered. It's the rap music. It's the internet. Internets. No, guess what? I know this is kind of shocking. There's the internet and rap music in other countries. Oh, did he know? Seems like there's something unique about the United States, right? Could it be the fact that we're swimming in guns and we have no real regulations to ensure that people who shouldn't have their hands on them somehow still access them? But he doesn't want to talk about that. But don't point any fingers, okay? Don't point any fingers. This is the kind of garbage that Fox News had while covering the fact that 19 students, 9 and 10-year-olds, were slaughtered in a 4th grade classroom and 2 teachers died along with them after that mass shooter barricaded himself inside their classroom. But we're not done. Unfortunately, there are more lunatics, including the next guy you're about to hear from. His name is Andrew Pollack, and he decided to blame the parents. Fun, let's watch.
It's the parents. It's your responsibility where you send your children to school. You have to know now after these shootings, and every week there's a shooting, whether it's at a school or in a supermarket, that you need to check where your kids go to school. You need to go back to the school and see, is there a single point of entry? Do you have guards at the school? I got a message tonight, made me feel kind of good from someone. They told me thanks. They thanked me because they listened to me and they took their kid out of public school and put him in a private school. Because a lot of these private schools, they take security way more serious.
There was an armed resource officer on campus. There were also cops right outside the campus. They watched the gunman run into the campus and barricade himself. I don't know if he knows this. Actually, he should. He wasn't. No, he wasn't. My bad. But there were cops there. There was a resource officer there. There was plenty of security, and they couldn't do a damn thing. But really, you're gonna blame the parents? Just blame the parents. It's the parents' fault. They just found out their kids were slaughtered, but it's the parents' fault. And then you have Laura Ingraham sitting there like, why does she make that face? Do you not listen to what he's saying? Are you really nodding along with this goon blaming the parents? You're blaming the parents. Jesus Christ, man. How does Fox News's audience not understand how much they hate them? How much these hosts despise them? How could you blame the parents? You should send your kids to a private school. You don't have the money, that's too bad, that's your fault. Garbage person. But we've got more. Here's Pat Bronson, calling for booby traps on campuses as a solution.
We need to install man traps. This is something we've discussed in the past. Back in 2018, I checked. Man traps, a series of interlocking doors at the school entrance that are triggered by a tripwire. The tripwire can be a gunshot, broken glass, a manual switch tossed by a school employee, and it traps the shooter like a rat. And when he's trapped like a rat, we're buying time. The most precious commodity these children can ever get is time to run, time to hide, time to get away from this madman and his bullets. It's tripwires, it's man traps. It's not labor, it's not gun control.
It's not about guns, okay? It's about the fact that they didn't watch Home Alone and take it as a tutorial. That's the real problem here. Where are the marbles? Where are the Hot Wheels? Where are the booby traps? It's the school's fault. It's not about guns. He's a former detective with the NYPD. Did you just talk about booby traps? And Fox News had this guy on thinking, no, nailed it. Booby traps. By the way, we're talking about a public school system, not just in Texas, but across the country, that has been undervalued and underfunded by Republican lawmakers. And whenever there's a mass shooting, they're like, yeah, man, it's the school's fault. They gotta train the teachers to shoot. They gotta have the booby traps. Maybe they could, take a little cut from their salary to buy the Hot Wheels and the marbles. Former NYPD detective, and by the way, it's not like this guy has like a squeaky clean track record and he just had a lapse in judgment during that interview. Let's go to this graphic. Retired NYPD detective makes bizarre claim on Fox News linking shootings to vaccinations. That was during an interview he did on Fox News just last year. The producers over at Fox watched that interview and thought, nailed it, let's call that guy so he can share his opinion on the shooting that just happened in Texas. And finally, this wasn't an interview, but I do want to talk a little bit about what Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick had to say. His big solution is, there are just too many entrances and exits on this school campus. What we need to do is create a fire hazard by ensuring that there's only one entrance and one exit. And we should have super high walls, and maybe some barbed wiring. Maybe we create a prison for the kids. Because God forbid, we prevent lunatics from accessing guns. God forbid, we wouldn't want to do that. Let's just make sure our kids learn in a prison environment. It'll be great. These politicians not only don't care about you or your kids or your families, they actively despise you. They actively work against you. They see your pain, they see your suffering, and their response to it is, it's your fault. It's your fault. That's it. I don't know about you, not feeling real free, not feeling a lot of liberty today. Feeling beyond disappointed. I'm disgusted with what this country has turned into. And it's gonna continue because the system is set up this way. The system incentivizes people to seek power, not to be public servants, but to enrich themselves through elected office. That's what this is really about. And the corporate media is just that, corporate media. The NRA represents corporate interests in the form of gun manufacturers. Corporate media will always defend corporate interests. They're owned by corporate interests. The entire system is flawed. We gotta understand that and we gotta change that. Because the days of, if we just elect enough Democrats, it'll make all the difference. Those days are over. And the reason why I say that is because now we have a Supreme Court that is stacked with right-wing judges who, as we speak, are working on further expanding gun rights. As we speak, that is what they're doing. They want to ensure that every state is able to open carry or concealed carry. Basically, any state that wants to curb gun ownership or have some regulations in place, those regulations are about to get struck down by our right-wing ideological Supreme Court. So when I say electing Democrats isn't enough, what I mean is we need to elect people who are actual fighters who want to reform the Supreme Court. And honestly, I don't see a damn person in office right now, not one, who's even willing to do that or fight for that. That's super depressing.